welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be looking at the EVIL Reckoning, of which you can probably just about see a little bit of it here. It's a bit of a beast. I've never ridden a full 29er before, so this is going to be a new one for me. I've been loaned this incredible machine by Chris at Velocipede Cycles in Tunbridge Wells. I'll put a link in the description below so you can go and visit their website, but they've got some pretty awesome machines. So this EVIL Reckoning, I'm going to be having a little look at what it's like from the point of view of climbing, descending, what its characteristics are like as well. So I really, at the moment, I'm looking for an enduro bike that can pretty much do everything really. Not so long ago I had the opportunity to test the EVIL Insurgent, and that was mind-blowingly good. That was a 27.5 front and rear. Massive thanks to Ollie from the same bike shop, Velocipede Cycles in Tunbridge Wells. And well, I'm a bit torn now. So at first I wasn't so sure on the 29, full 29. But having ridden it just for half an hour, I'm very quickly warming to it, so time will tell. So let's go and have a look at a bit of a climb. It's a bit of a brute, so bear with me. Right, so just beginning this brute of a climb. It is worth it because there's a really nice little downhill called X-Files. For those that would like to know where I am, this is Friston Forest near Eastbourne in East Sussex. I'll put a link to one of my other videos which actually shows you a lot of the trails around Friston. Should you want to take a trip, come and have some fun. It's the middle of X-Files, and we're coming down there in a moment after this Brutus. I'll just fast forward this little section just so you're not bored out of your head. Right, that was a big old climb. Got to the top, and so far it's starting to impress me even more. The 29 wheels, I think, are the culprit for making climbing just that little easier. Still puffing at my backside though. Whew, mind you, it's warm. But yeah, it's the other noticing thing that I've noticed, funny that, is I'm used to 27.5 wheels, full front and rear. Not ridden 29 front, whether it be full 29 or mullet, and at slow speed it kind of feels a bit that you've got to put a bit more effort into steering and controlling it, otherwise it'll kind of feels like it wants to flop to one side. But once you get going, the centrifugal force or rotation of the actual wheel almost weights the steering, and if anything, it kind of stabilizes at speed. So that is a massive bonus. It's maybe not aimed at tight, slow technical trails. It's doable, you just got to put a little bit more effort into the actual steering, and it's maybe a little bit slower, but once you pick up speed, that's where this thing comes alive, and it's an absolute brute at speed. So I'm not going to go mental down here because the trails are pretty slippery because they are just so incredibly dry, and it's not my bike, so I want to look after it and respect it. But yeah, it is kind of exceeding expectations. So nice one, Chris, you've got me hooked. Okie dokie, so we have now got a nice long climb of about a mile, I guess. It's, well, you've probably seen it on my other videos, but it's oh, God, I can't even get my words out.
A few moments later.
Oh, flipping it. It's named Cardiac for obvious reasons. It's not very steep, it's just very long and continuous. So I'll probably guess at maybe 10 to 15% gradient. It's hard packed, loose gravel, so it's not a particularly hard challenge. It's just from the point of view of a long drawn out climb, this is where I want to test the Reckoning, or the Wrecker as they're commonly known as. Now, doing sort of steep gnarly climbs, because of the short chainstays on the EVIL bikes, and this Wrecker is no exception. It's 430 millimeters long, so it's quite short. It's a little challenge to keep the front wheel on the ground, but as long as you sort of perch your underneath area on the front of the seat and sort of get into an attack position over the bars, you can pretty much get a decent weight over the back wheel and front wheel. From the point of view of these long drawn out climbs, there's very little rolling resistance on these 29s. If anything, they almost help you maintain speed. It feels just very unhindered. It feels quite light, nimble, and I'm sure I'll be changing my mind by the time I get to the top of this climb. Speaking of which, I will see you there. And I've made it. Cool. Yeah, that was warm and physically challenging from the point of view of the heat. So I'm going to find some shade. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, the helmet had to come off. However, the EVIL did handle it pretty well. It's just me that's blowing out the back end. So yeah, thumbs up for climbing. No real faults. It's a steady climber. It's smooth. It's dare I say it, comfortable for a big hitting 170 front, 166 rear enduro bike. Yeah, I think this is an absolute winner. Right, let's go have a little play with X-Files then. Like I say, I'm not going to go wild on this because the trails are super sketchy. Well, I definitely feel like this thing wants to literally go over anything and just not, it doesn't seem fussed by anything really at the moment. Whoop, that was sketchy. Quite poppy and playful. Again, for a quite big bike, it's surprisingly poppy and playful. Not going to send it over this. Those routes, it's kind of saying to me, what routes? Okay, this one's called Red Snapper. It's quite infamous around the southeast as being quite an enjoyable trail. So short and sweet, but it is. Oh, it does put a smile on your face. So enjoy. damage. Very loose, very, very loose. These Koda RSCs are absolutely wonderful. I'm quite used to tram brakes. I just love the modulation and the power. Oh, this is such a great tram. Oh, very poppy. Oh, it absolutely eats these bumps up. God, it's fast, this thing. It's super fast. Oh, that was flipping awesome. Whew. Okay, I'm going to try and attempt to film the rear shock in motion, both sort of going downhill and then climbing, so you can see the amount of sort of pedal bob that it's got. It does have a small amount, but because of its design by a gentleman called Dave Weigel, it's done in it's a single pivot design, and it's done in such a way that the linkage allows for different levels of compression, very simply. So it kind of ramps it up further into the stroke, so it does kind of have a what's the best way of describing it? I suppose a parallelogram kind of approach. So it almost, well, I'll try and describe it in a little while anyway, so that you can actually get a bit more of an understanding, because the way that they've described it on the actual EVIL website kind of makes a lot more sense than me babbling on. So let's go and have a little look. Okay, I've just put the flip switch on the rear shock into lockout. It definitely stiffens the ride up, certainly, and there's even less of the pedal bob now. So like I was saying earlier on that the other climb, the steep one, the actual bike now feels quite firm enough to be almost like a, well, actually like my white 905, which is the like a hardcore hardtail with 27.5 plus rear, well, front and rear tyres actually. So it's a little bit, it's like a cushioned 27 plus hardtail, very simply. So this is where the actual hocus pocus and wizardry comes from Dave Weigel, the EVIL engineer. It's based on a single pivot design, but with this trunnion link, which I'm going to link you in the description anyway about how it works. But very simply, the actual main part of this provides huge differences from the point of view of climbing, so it'll give different leverages to give different amounts of support whilst climbing, and then as you start to descend and it starts to get through the mid-stroke, it provides even more support. And then obviously when you then get some big movement in the big hits, it will provide even more support. And as that movement goes through the shock, it actually reduces the amount of leverage or leverage, whichever you want to describe it as it compresses. This wrecker is set up in low setting at the moment, so that will give a 65.2 degree head angle. It can go to extra low by simply flipping this chip with this and this connector, undo those and flip the chip over and reseat it, getting the torque settings correct, and that's it. It'll go down to 64.6, I believe. I'll put the details on the screen anyway, so you can see what is actually correct. This is the sag meter, so it's literally just a very small meter that you push up. You obviously then do your sag rating, and then it'll then move to the position and tell you exactly what it is. So super easy to do. I'll link you in the description anyway to the EVIL site, which will describe it much better than I can. So I suppose the question is, would I buy this bike? Well, yes, I would. I think I would. However, there's a slight bit of hesitancy, purely and simply because of the double 29er. I think for my own personal taste, a mullet setup is far more comfortable for me. It kind of has the balance between the exceptional capability of the 29er on the front. It just absolutely bowls over everything, and with those big forks it just takes everything in its stride. The rear wheel isn't quite as playful as I'd like it to be, and I kind of feel it almost feels like it's holding me back a little bit. I mean, I'm no amazing rider anyway, but having ridden a 27.5 front and rear, which is a much more poppy, more lively bike, this I'm still undecided yet. So I'm going to be testing another bike fairly soon. Watch this space. Secret one, which is a mullet, which is in comparison and in competition with this kind of style bike, full on downhill bike park munching monster. So do keep tuned. But yeah, I'll definitely consider this one. It isn't a definite buy, but it's a definite consideration. So yeah, please do look at the EVIL website, look at the Velocipede Cycles website, check them out, do get in touch with them, find out what they can do for you. They are awesome, bunch of guys there. So you can speak to Jack, Chris, who owns the bike, and Ollie. Can't big them up enough. And Chris, you're an absolute dude. Thank you for letting me use your bike. I'm loving it. I just don't want to stop today, although my head and my body is saying I need to stop. So on that note, thank you very much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. Please leave some comments down in the comment area below. Tell me what you think of the bike. Tell me if you've got one and what your thoughts are, whether you've got the Insurgent or the Wrecker. Which one do you prefer? Thanks for watching once again, and I really appreciate your support. Incidentally, this particular bike is up for sale at the moment, so if you are interested, please do get in touch with Chris down at Velocipede Cycles in Tunbridge Wells in Kent, southeast of England, just in case you didn't know. And again, description below will have the link to Velocipede Cycles. But yeah, Chris is your man. Get in touch if you're really interested. It's a wicked bike. Take care, stay safe, shred well, and I'll see you next time.